Okay, in this very quick tutorial, I'm going to navigate you through how you could possibly set yourself up for the parents' evening we have coming up with the fourth years. A slight organizational way that will allow you to quickly be able to jump in and out of your different Google Meets and match them to pupils, as well as then being able to recycle this for future parents' evenings down the road. Okay, so the first thing I've done is I have made a copy of the Google form that we were sent by Emma, and I've added a couple of additional columns. Okay, so the next step I've done is you will see in each of these, in very small font there, an actual link to a Google Meet. So what I'm first of all going to do is show you how to create that Google Meet, how to then create that link to copy into this space, then how to get your pupils to choose their times, and then how to add your pupil to the different times, which will generate an invite to the pupil, thus creating your final form, which on the day you can quickly see which pupil you have at all the different times, and you can jump between them. So how to go about doing this? The first thing you want to do is open up your Google Calendar. Okay, so quickest way to access that is through the RM Unify tiles. Okay, so what we're going to have, first of all, is we have to jump to the date of the parents' evening. So if I jump to the actual 28th of September, you will see that I have already created quite a range of appointments. So these are all of the appointments. Now, they don't have a title at the moment, and we will have to add a title too, because obviously when we send an invite to the parents, they have to know who is in that appointment. So I've got appointments set up from all the way up to 8:50. So I'm just going to set up an appointment now, my final one, for 8:55 to 9 o'clock. So I've just clicked on a white space, which if I click on the blue, unfortunately, it would bring up the editing of the existing meeting or appointment in my calendar. So by clicking on the white space, it creates a new title box like this. And at this point, I can add my title if I want. And I'll show you how to do that. So my title is going to be S4 Geography, Mr. Wiley. Now that's quite important because when it generates the invite to the student, it's going to that's going to go to the parents, so they're going to see who that appointment's with. It's quite important I then add this thing here, the Google Meet. Okay. I need to make sure the time actually matches the one I want. So this is actually a little bit earlier than I want. So I want to change this down to 8:55. And that's going to go on. The end time is going to be 9 o'clock. A final step before I save this, I'm almost ready, is that I need to create this meeting ID. So I've clicked this little arrow here, which will then reveal my meeting ID. I'm going to right click on that, copy my link address. I'm now ready to save that. You'll see the calendar, 8:55, I've got my name in there. I'm now going to paste that in that time slot on my calendar. So I'm going to scroll down to 8:55. Now, one thing to do is if I paste this right now, I'll show you what happens. It's come small, but it's come small because I've already selected that box has a font size 5. It won't start at 5, so I've changed that to 5 in order to keep my links small. Otherwise, my whole Google doc is going to grow massively because I think the default is a font size of about 11. I'm going to press just an enter, the space button, and by pressing the space button, it turns it blue. So I now have a live link to that meeting. Right now, let's say the next step is going to be the students coming in during a lesson, and I'm going to be filling this out. So I will be asking them for their names, and let's just say we have John at 7 o'clock, and I fill up the rest. There is a final step here. Once I've got my names in, I could either do it whilst the students are there, or I could do this afterwards. I now need to jump back to the calendar, and I need to go into each of these appointments. So this is a 7 p.m. appointment, and I need to edit it. And you'll notice, first of all, this is one that hasn't had a title added. So I would need to say S4 Mr. Wiley, geography, and I want to add John, and I'll get a list of names of people who are John. So let's just say John Corbett is the person I want to have in the meeting. He's automatically added down there. If I get that wrong, by the way, you can simply delete that person out and remove them. Okay. Once I have got my one student in, I can just save that. What that's automatically going to do is it's going to push out to John that there is an appointment set up for 7 o'clock with me. That's the message he and his parents will have access to. What I've also got in my calendar is a very quick link to that appointment. I can see who it's with on the day of the actual parents' evening. One final little step, if you can bear with me, is obviously you've gone to all of this work to create this, all of these slots, and in 3 weeks' time, you might have an S5 parents' evening. So what you want to do, maybe on the, I don't know when it is off the top of my head, but let's say the 10th of October, you want to have all of these moved over to the 10th of October. Click on the first one. Now you're going to have to do each one manually. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to do it any quicker, and maybe one of you listening to this will find a quick way of doing this. So I've got my 7 to 7:05 appointment. I want to edit it. Okay, and seems to have, there we are. Only thing I'm going to want to do is, well, there's 2 steps. I'm going to want to change the date. So I'd want, if this was for an S5 parents' evening, for example, I'd probably just change this manually now. I wouldn't need to change the Google Meet at all. I do need to change the date to the date of the next parents' evening. So I could click on that, the new date. And the final step that I would need to do is I would need to delete the guest I added. And I showed you that earlier. So for example, if it was John Corbett and I'd invited him, he had been my 40th student. Well, I don't want him getting another invite for my 50th parents' evening. So I would delete him out and then I would save it. And that would then move from here. That would no longer appear here, but it would actually appear on the 10th of October, for example, at 7 o'clock. And then I go through the same process with my S5. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even create a new appointment form at all. I would just change this to S5 parents' evening, or I'd make a copy of this document actually, change this to S5 parents' evening, change the dates, and obviously just delete the names from the S4 one and put the new names in, and make sure I do exactly the same step where I now then go into each of those calendared events and add the new student from the new year group in. Okay, hopefully this helps. It's just a way I've decided to organize parents' evening, and some of you might opt to take this approach too.